The Dallas Cowboys got the news they did not want to get on Monday afternoon. Dak Prescott's injury is worse than feared with his hamstring. He is set to miss multiple weeks, and a injured reserve stint is very much in the cards for the Cowboys franchise QB. We'll break it all down, plus a brief update on CeeDee Lamb. But when Cowboys news happens, we have videos for you. We'll probably do 3 videos today. Very real possibility of that. We'll do some trade stuff with, hey, you should probably sell right now. Coming up on today's video, we'll break down the Dak side of it. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. We'll also be live for the trade deadline tomorrow. The news came all at once from Tom Pelissero, Ian Rappaport, Adam Schefter eventually as well. Dak is expected to miss multiple weeks with that hamstring injury. No call yet on the injured reserve side. Worse than expected was Pelissero's phrasing. Worse than feared was Ian Rappaport's phrasing as well. Neither of which is good. And this is exactly what the Dallas Cowboys had feared. The season was really already over. Now it just feels even somehow more over. An injured injured reserve stint makes sense. That's a logical move here for the Cowboys. Put him on IR for 4 weeks and see where you're at. Now, Dak is going to get a second opinion for a team that's getting a little bit thin on players eligible to return from IR. The second opinion stuff normally isn't a good thing. And the vibe I get, the phrase was confirmed treatment options, which is like, hey, is there any path I don't have to go on IR, is kind of the likely outcome here. Dak, ultra competitive, doesn't want to go on injured reserve. He'd like to find a way to play through it, keep playing. Doesn't seem very likely. And the Cowboys have a tight window coming up here, or a narrow window of games. Eagles week 10, which was supposed to be the Fox game of the week. Don't know if it's going to anymore. That's not a great game because it's Cooper Rush Hour or Trey Lance SCN. We'll see. Texans on Monday Night Football. The Commanders week 12. The Cowboys will be underdogs in every single one of those games. Maybe Ewing theory is at play. They can pull an upset. Week 13, the Giants on Thanksgiving. That's going to be a fun one. Boy, if you lose to the Giants on Thanksgiving, going into Monday Night Football the week after that, that could be a firing day for Big Mike out there. Bengals on Monday night. So 3 basically nationally televised football games, 3 primetime games, we call Thanksgiving there, that may or may not have your franchise quarterback involved. Is the season, especially after the Dak Prescott injuries, is it now? Is it fully over? Is it fully cooked? Y for yes, N for no. It's the pinned comment on today's show, so go vote. If you were on team, well, maybe they can make a miracle, which was a long shot at best. This is it. It was probably already over anyway. The best hope of a prayer was Dak turns back into 2023 MVP caliber Dak Prescott, which we hadn't really seen so far this year, and the supporting cast elevates its play around him, and it looks more like last year's offense, and you basically lose 1 game the rest of the year, and you make it, and that was really unlikely. This is just another straw. Like, I think, frankly, the camel's back has already been broken. Like, it's on the ground. It's not moving. You got to put it down now. You already had to, frankly. It is now Cooper Rush Hour or Trey Lance SCN. Those are your options for the Cowboys. Different pros and cons to both of them. I have my preferred preference. I think the Cowboys organization has their preferred preference. I think the head coach has his preferred preference as well. One of the biggest issues you face with this team, the quarterback play alone likely wasn't going to be enough to save your season. You were too far behind. You got too many issues on defense, too many issues on offense, too many coaching issues that if you had the A game from Dak Prescott every game, maybe you can win 5. That's kind of where you were at down the stretch this season. You could maybe get to 9 wins. And that even felt a little bit unlikely. That's if you had the A game. I think you had the B game overall from quarterback play against the Falcons. Still wasn't enough. We'll break down Lance and Rush here in just a second, but today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. Over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Sign up today and get $50 instantly when you play 5. You don't even need to win to get the $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. If you're going to have some prize pick slates for Dallas sports, I would recommend the basketball team and not the football team moving forward. Riding with my boy Jeffrey Cooperstein's prize pick slates here. More than Daniel Gafford points and boards, Klay Thompson points, and Miles Turner points as well. So download the Prize Picks app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get that $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. You don't even need to win to get it. It is guaranteed. So you got 2 viable Dak replacements here. Cooper Rush and Trey Lance. Let's begin with Cooper Rush. He very much is who he is. His numbers this year are not that dissimilar from the numbers over the course of his NFL career. Cooper Rush did a very good job of game managing the Cowboys, doing his job as a backup quarterback. And I mean that, by the way, in a positive standpoint of game managing the Cowboys when he went on that nice little run back in 2022 where they beat the Bengals, beat the Giants, beat the Commanders, beat the Rams, lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. The problem you're going to run into here with Cooper Rush is that he is limited as a starter. That is the reality of it. He's not particularly great in that regard. In that little 5-game sample size, when you look at him, he's fine. He was a good backup quarterback. He did his job, right? He was completing around 60% of his passes. You can include the Vikings game if you want to, where he did play pretty, I thought, probably his best game overall. In that 2022 run, the Cowboys never scored more than 3 touchdowns in a game. They won, but the defense allowed 17, 16, 10, 10, and 26 in the Eagles game with 3 interceptions from Rush in that matchup, by the way. Do we feel like the defense can limit the opposing team to 20 points per game right now? Because I don't. Again, because you got bigger issues, frankly, than just the quarterback play here. Trey Lance, meanwhile, is still the great mystery box. Who knows what Trey Lance is? He could be anything. It could be a boat. The upside, though, is higher than Cooper Rush and gives you more running ability to maybe benefit your ground game overall. I do think if you play Trey Lance, you probably get a better ground game, period, because of his legs and his ability to run the football. The passing game, though, it wasn't great against backups, with backups in the preseason. It's in many ways the devil you know and the devil you don't for an NFL head coach, who, by the way, is fighting for his job, which is certainly not something that should be overlooked in this entire conversation, which we'll get to here in just a second. With Dak out for multiple weeks, who do you want to start? TL for Trey Lance, CR for Cooper Rush. Let me know in the comments of today's show. TL or CR. Now, the Cowboys will tell you that Cooper Rush gives them a better chance to win games right now. They also might admit that, hey, Trey Lance has more long-term upside. Because, again, we don't really know what he is the same way we know Cooper Rush is. Also has more long-term downside, if we're being honest there. And this is where the organizational misalignment, the differences your franchise faces, matter. This type of stuff right here. Because Mike McCarthy, his only hope of saving his job is to win games, is to make a Ewing theory run, and they somehow make the playoffs and everything gets better around him. Cooper Rush is probably more equipped to try to do that. Emphasis on the try aspect, by the way. That is why he has been quarterback 2. That is why he has been the backup over Trey Lance. He's a better short-term option. You're also facing down long-term issues here, at least for the season in terms of long-term. Trey Lance could very well show more upside as a backup. Worth re-signing, keeping him in the fold for whatever new head coach ends up being, or maybe he flashes and he gets you a comp pick, or at least the cancellation of a potential comp pick. Either way, this is where the bigger picture front office stuff has to override the coach. I don't think it's going to, because the coach is going to get fired. This is why the whole thing of being on a one-year deal is bad. How you get a toxic, situation like this. The quarterback play probably shouldn't save Mike McCarthy's job. Regardless of how Lance or Cooper Rush looks, barring an absolute miracle, which is where you're at right now, this should not save his job. You should be prepared to move on whenever it is from Big Mike. They got set up for failure. He embraced said failure with open arms. Before we go, update here briefly on CeeDee Lamb. Sounds like things are better on the CeeDee Lamb side in terms of injuries. Isn't supposed to miss that much time, day to day, week to week. A chance to play this week, but we'll see. You don't maybe want to make this worse if playing him jeopardizes that. So we'll know more injuries throughout the week. Keep it locked in here on the Cowboys Report.